Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the Executive Committee special meeting. We called this meeting this morning for us to vote on the annual WIOA allocations on Title I. And this vote is necessary in order for those funds to be able to be allocated to the appropriate places. If we can take a roll call, please, Laura.
Yep. All right. Uh, Brian Jazzwitz.
Present.
Thank you. Kelly Valeries.
Present.
Present. Christy Pentima.
Here.
I do see him, so I'll give him a minute to come off mute.
I heard him.
Okay. Jay Williams.
Present.
Thank you, Jay. Sean Coyne.
Here.
Uh, Marty Gray, though I believe we have Abby Sanazaro.
Yep, present.
Did I say that right?
Yes.
And Charlene Russell Tucker or Keith Norton. Kelly, you have a quorum?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So again, welcome this morning. We should be able to make this vote fairly quickly. So we'll move through the allocations and I'll give you just a brief overview to remind you of what we're voting on and where those funds are going. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so WIOA is the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. This allows the formation of our federal workforce system. So these WIOA dollars come from USDOL. They flow down to Connecticut Department of Labor. And then as the executive board or the full board of the state workforce board, which is allocated as the governor's workforce council, it is our responsibility to vote on the Title I portion of the WIOA dollars. So these dollars then will go to the 5 regional workforce boards and flow into the programs around dislocated worker, adult, and youth programming. And it also supports the American Job Centers where those where residents and folks get the services that they need to be reemployed, which includes job training programs as well. So next slide. Okay, so we have broken these down into those into three categories that we can walk through and explain how these dollars come to fruition. So the first part of the allocations that go to the workforce boards are pre-approved formulas, and we'll run through those formulas in a few moments. The second component is rapid response dollars. These dollars are used to support mass layoffs. So when an organization is going to be laying off a number of people, they need to notify the Department of Labor prior to that notice through what's called a WARN notice. The Department of Labor then activates the rapid response team to support the individuals who are going to be losing their jobs in those layoffs to help them be reemployed as quickly as possible. And then the last part of the allocation is the governor's reserve, and this is up to 15% of the total. So next slide, please. So this year, our allocations coming from the feds totaled $29,838,610. The money that comes through to the state is also determined by a formula that includes information around unemployment and economic conditions within the state. So this year, we unfortunately received a significant decrease from last year, which I believe totaled 2,594,660 $996. So as you can imagine, losing 2.5 million to the workforce system is going to put a challenge on the system moving forward. The other thing that I need to mention is these formulas are based on is it 2 or 3 years in the past? Mark, I see you on the call. So,
Yeah, they're a couple of years behind it at least. I think they use a lot of the census data. Also 5 years. I think they update like every 5 years or something to that effect.
so the better that we do with a low unemployment rate actually affects the money that comes into the state by lower dollars. And since we've had historic low levels of unemployment, we're actually running under the national average. I believe the numbers that just came out were 3.8% or 3.9% unemployment, and the national average is about 4.2%. So again, this puts pressure on our workforce system. So I'm going to go through each one of the formula funds. And then as we do that, we'll have open discussion and then we'll take a motion to approve at the end, and we can have any additional discussions then. So please stop me if you have any questions along the way. So as I mentioned, the money that flows through to the workforce boards is broken down by a formula fund, and you'll see those in the screen here. These formulas and the numbers are put together by Connecticut Department of Labor and Patrick Flaherty's group in the research and reporting component of DOL. And so it does take a little bit of time to gather all of this information, plug it into the formulas that are they're the money that comes down from the feds, and come up with the allocations. So I'll pause here. Does anyone have any questions on how the allocations are put together? Okay, next slide then. Okay, as you see here is the allocations to each of the 5 workforce boards. They are broken up into allotted funds, and this is required by the feds that these formulas are put into these buckets. And so you'll see here the funding for adult workers, dislocated workers, and the dislocated workers are those that are on unemployment and are seeking reemployment, and our youth. And those are the youth employment programs. And you hear a lot about those programs, especially in the summer. There's a lot of summer youth programs that happen, but there's also a lot of programming that happens throughout the year. And you'll see those allocations, and then you'll see the delta from last year to this year. You can see that there's a big difference between the allocation differences and those deltas. And there is a hold harmless claim component to the allocation. So it says, and Mark, I'm going off memory, so please fill me in. They cannot have a less than or a decrease in what's the percentage?
It's a 90% of the average allocation percentage over the past 2 years.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. And so if there is a discrepancy there, then there is an opportunity for DOL to move some numbers and dollars to ensure that they are hold harmless and they don't go below that threshold. So is there any questions considering this allocation formula? Okay, we'll move to the next slide. This one's pretty cut and dry. We can take up to 25% of the total for rapid response activities. And you can see here that's the allocation this year is 2.655 and change. And the decrease is about $295,000 less than last year. Considering that we do have low unemployment, I think that will be okay with the reduction in the rapid response dollars for this year. Any questions on rapid response? Okay, we'll move to the next.
Kelly, sorry, I laid off a mute there. Uh, we don't have a lot of, well, knock on wood, we just don't generally have a lot of unexpected kind of mass layoffs recently. You don't know what's going to happen down the road. If those funds aren't used, do they just go back or can they be rediverted?
Mark, will you please answer that question?
Surely. Hey, Chris, Mark Bozell here from Department of Labor. So these dollars that we receive are available to the state for up to 3 years. So what when we use these dollars to assist employers if they're experiencing a downsizing or if they're closing altogether, we also have within our policies the capability of making these dollars available to the Workforce Development Board should one area experience significant layoffs more than others. So these dollars they remain available for 3 years unless they are used and consumed within the first couple of years. But they do remain available. We don't have to send them back right away to the feds.
Okay, that's helpful. And it sounds like, Mark, that they stay in like a general fund. They don't necessarily get allocated down to the individual workforce investment boards.
That's correct. And over the
Okay.
past couple of years, Chris, just so that you are aware, we have made these dollars available to the boards over the past couple of years to assist with businesses. The main component around rapid response activities is layoff aversion, which we do our best to try to make sure that employers know that we're available and we're here to assist with that layoff aversion, like making sure that they're aware of what we call the shared work component of our unemployment insurance, so that they can reduce maybe some folks' hours while they're working, and they can collect some partial unemployment benefits to help kind of stave off any layoffs. So we use that to market that and help employers get set up for that kind of stuff. But as you can imagine, there's a lot of times there's apprehension from employers of initiating something where they have to indicate that there's potential concerns with their businesses, especially if they are major corporations and publicly traded. But we do make these dollars available when necessary.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Chris. Any other questions on rapid response? Okay, next slide, please. We'll go to the governor's reserve. So the governor's reserve is up to 15% of the total, and it comes into four main categories. The first category is our performance data and Office of Research, and that typically covers one person and maybe a little bit more staff. The next is to conduct the evaluations and oversight administration of the WIOA dollars. That includes a lot of the compliance pieces and monitoring pieces, as you will see in these categories. The majority of these funds are for staff and also for like with regards to CT Hire staff and vendor support. That is a contract to Geographic Solutions. That is the engine behind CT Hires, which is where all the workforce boards and the American Job Centers input their data and do case management, and is required by the federal government for providing the information back to them. The Office of Workforce Strategy also receives an allocation annually to support the work that we do in implementing the state strategy and staffing to do the annual or the biannual planning that's required to the federal government, as well as the annual updates and the activities that support the Governor's Workforce Council. The third is an allocation to the American Job Centers for their basic services. The American Job Centers are those places like a job resource center where anyone can come in and utilize, whether it's their computers to do a job search, get support in writing resumes or interview skills, or helping them find a job search an occupation that might be of interest to them. And it also includes connecting folks to training. So those are the allocations, and you can see that they fluctuate quite a bit annually. The last bucket here is for WIOA activities and support. Whatever is left that's above and beyond what's needed in those other three categories is typically the money that the Governor's Workforce Council has to spend on activities that support the workforce system. And this year, you'll see that there is no additional dollars for any types of programming ahead of what we are required to do. And so you'll see that last year we had $643,000 to make some determinations with. So I'll pause here and answer any questions that you may have. Okay, hearing no questions. The next slide is just the total of the three areas that we broke down for you. You can see them all on one slide as we now prepare for our vote. So may I please have a motion to approve the FY 2026 WIOA Title I allocations?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All in
Kelly,
favor?
just a quick question or a quick item for the record. Just want to note that Keith Norton is here in Charlene's place. So just verbal acknowledgement. Thank you, Keith, for joining.
Thank you. Just in time. Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 All nays? Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, the vote passes and approval of the 2026 WIOA Title I allocations. Thank you all very much for jumping on this meeting with us this morning. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks,